Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about school safety, school security. Obviously, it's a hot topic right now in the forefront of everyone's minds, and rightfully so. We've had some recent events in Florida that kind of brought this back to light, as well as a few threats of things around here in Knox County. So we want to kind of get everybody on the same page and talk through some of these issues. Kind of First of all, to give you some background knowledge, the State Department of Education requires us to do school drills um, throughout the course of the year. In terms of fire drills, we have to do once every 30 days, and we have to do two in the first month of school. So you see, you guys are used to doing fire drills on a regular basis. We're required to do an intruder lockdown drill once a year, and we usually do that. Along at the time we have our Knoxville Police Department brings our drug dogs in, and we do a random drug search as well during that same lockdown drill. We have a CPR AED drill required once a year. We've done that already this year. That's in case we have someone with a heart condition where they need to use the AED, which is the defibrillator, which kind of shocks your heart back into rhythm if something's gone off there. And then we have to have three more additional drills throughout the school year: the tornado drill, the earthquake drill, and the soft lockdown. And we schedule those and we run through those. And we have to report those back to the Department of Education each year. I said we're familiar with our fire drills, but we're going to make a change here. Normally, what we've done is when the fire alarm rings, we all just leave the building. We go follow the evacuation routes, and we all go to the assigned spots based on classrooms. But we're going to change that a little bit. Moving forward, we're not going to leave the building right away. First, we're going to make sure it's safe to do so. And this is in response to the latest incident in Florida where the young man pulled the fire alarm, and when students ran in the hallways to leave the building, the violence began at that point. So we're going to, we don't see a lot of kids getting hurt in school fires. We see a lot of kids getting hurt in school shootings. So we're going to change our process there a little bit. So moving forward, when you hear the fire alarm ring, you're not going to leave until we can make sure that that's safe. If it's a scheduled drill, we'll be able to say, yeah, guys, we can go. What happens is there's a monitor in the office that tells us where the fire alarm was pulled or where the sensor was triggered. We're going to go check that out, make sure what's going on there, make sure it's safe, and then we're going to go ahead and you do our usual routines with the drill. So we're going to stay in our rooms until you get instructions to do so. The next kind of drill is a soft lockdown. So we had two kinds of lockdowns: a hard lockdown and a soft lockdown. And the soft lockdown, usually this occurs when we have something going on. A lot of times in the community, like if a crime, someone goes and robs Kroger, and that person's out in the community, we just want to make sure that that person's not trying to hide out here in the school building. So we have a soft lockdown. We lock our classroom doors. Kids are not allowed to leave the classroom, but we want to keep teaching. We're going to stop our class changes. We want to keep everybody in the classrooms, but we're going to keep teaching. If we have kids outside, we want to bring those kids back inside. So we did this earlier this year. We had a student who had a seizure, and we had to bring in a ambulance and a stretcher. And during that time, we went into a soft lockdown, and that way, when we're attending to the medical needs of that student, we didn't have to worry about kids in and out in the hallways. So that's an example when we might do a soft lockdown. A hard lockdown is a more serious situation. Again, we're going to lock all of our doors, and teachers and students should stay away from the windows and the doors and hide as best they can inside the room. We're going to barricade doors if possible. If you can't lock your door, we're going to barricade the door. No one's in the halls. And we're going to stay in those rooms unless we have some type of instruction to be dismissed from those rooms. Code Green is a new feature we're going to add in. Code Green is the kind of the universal code for some type of violence in a facility. It's used a lot in hospitals. We had talked about using code red for this, but we're going to use code green because that's what's used in our hospitals and other facilities. And our health science students are taught this in their curriculum, so we're going to make that change. This is when we have a possibility of violence in the building. These may be things like an active shooter or an intruder who wants to do some type of violence to someone. These are the situations like you saw in Florida last week. We would use code green. And code green is a hard lockdown first. We're going to lock our doors, everybody out of the hallways. If you're in a hallway, get yourself in a classroom as quickly as possible. We're going to lock those things down, get out of the way of the windows. Once we go into hard lockdown and we say, hey, there's someone on the fourth floor who we have an active shooter on the fourth floor, we're going to communicate that via radios. And we'll have them say, if the intruder's on the fourth floor, we're going to exit the first floor out some of those exits there. We're going to, if the intruder's on the first floor, we can exit fourth and third floor classrooms different ways. So the idea in a code green is we've got someone who wants to do violence in our building. We're going to get them out. We want to get our kids out of the building, but in a safe way. We can't all just leave because you may be running into that violent intruder. But we want to make sure we're being smart and we're not just staying in our rooms. Used to be, you're just going to lock down and stay there. Now, as the experts who study these things tactically, the current mindset is around the run, hide, fight mentality. If you have a chance to run away from violence, run away. If you can't run away, hide. And if you can't hide, then fight. Okay, so again, if you can run, run. If you can't run, hide. If you can't hide, then fight. And that goes for here in the building, or that's something at the mall, at the movie theaters, where you see some of these things occurring. So we can't just blindly run out of our classrooms when this is happening because we don't know where the active shooter may be. He may be right outside your room. So we're going to lock down. We're going to hide until it's safe, then we're going to run. If we don't know if it's safe, we're going to hide. Okay, so we're going to exit whoever can exit. Okay, then we're going to lock down, barricade the doors. If you're in a situation where that person, you're in the cafeteria, the person walks in the cafeteria, there's nowhere to really hide in the cafeteria. So at that point, we're going to have to fight. And then you got to think about what can you do to harm that person? What weapons do you have to your disposal? Is there a fire extinguisher around? Do you have your backpack? Think about this. You may not think that backpack can be used as a weapon, but you may not want to hurt that person. You may want to hurt that person, but using your backpack can also make it harder for that person to harm you. Most of these folks are not experts using weapons, so you can easily distract them using those things. And there may be one shooter, but there's 900 of us. So, we can't just sit and be victims of these things. We've got to step up and go by these guidelines here. Okay. Full school evacuation for whatever the reason may be. If we need to evacuate the building, say there's a bomb threat and we all want to get away from the building to a specific point, our rally point for our school is Tenova Parking Garage over on the far side you go past the football field and over to the evacuation point there. We've not had to do that at any point, but just FYI for your information, the rally point is at the Tenova Parking Garage. Biggest thing to keep in mind with these, if there is a situation that arises, every situation is different depending on the circumstances. Sometimes we want to lock down and stay there. Sometimes we want to leave the building quickly. So because there's a lot of chaos, because there's a lot of moving pieces, there's not a lot of information, we need to try and stay calm as best you can. I know it's difficult to do that. People are going to be scared. I'm going to be scared. Teachers are going to be scared. But we're going to try and remain as calm as possible because when we're calm, we can make good decisions. We're going to communicate with teachers. We got email. We've got our Remind app that we can send text messages out, and we can use the intercom. Your teachers, you need to listen to them and trust them. They have your best interests at heart on this. They're going to protect you if you listen to them. Please try and stay off your phones. I know the first thing you're going to want to do is video something or text somebody. You can't listen to instructions while being on your phone. Okay. And then the other piece around that is misinformation is not our friend here. We need clear, concise communication. And when everyone's sending out different messages, it gets very difficult to understand what's really going on. We want to get safe first. If you're in a situation where they're telling you to get out, and then when you're safe, um, then you might be able to communicate to your loved ones that you are safe. But we don't want misinformation out there. We're going to ask teachers to lock doors so that if a situation occurs, they don't have to necessarily try and find their keys to lock the doors. All of our classroom doors lock from the inside, but some teachers lock their doors regularly. Some folks don't. We're asking folks to start keeping those locked. And if your door doesn't lock for whatever reason, let us know and we'll try and get that fixed. And then you can also think about ways to keep yourself safe if you're in a room that doesn't lock. Is there an automatic door hinge that closes that door? So you can lock those things down using a belt or some other type of way to keep those things. You can tape those things up to make it harder to get into to a classroom. And if you think back to the Virginia Tech incident that happened a few years ago, and just to be brutally honest, the purpose of these active shooters is to take down as many people as possible. So there's a short amount of time they had to do that. They're not going to waste time on trying to get into a room that's locked. So if that room's not easily accessible, they're going to pass that room, go on down to the next one. So that's why we want to keep our doors locked here. Outside doors, this is probably the biggest thing we need to emphasize with you guys is we should not be opening the outside doors for anyone. If there's a parent, a student, a visitor, whoever, do not open the door for them. Let them go through the buzzer system. The reason why that is there. I know it looks rude to just see someone and look at them and not open the door, but that's what we have to do to keep ourselves safe. We have a huge issue at our school with people putting rocks in the side doors, especially over there by the band room steps, under the breezeway, some of the back doors in the gym area. When you put a rock in the door, you're opening our school up to be unsafe. So please make sure you're not doing that. If you see rocks in the doors, kick them out, throw them away, get rid of those things. Everyone who enters the building after 8:25 should have to go through that main office buzzer system in order to do that. Again, there's over 1,000 of us, 940 or so students, over 120 staff members. There's more of us than there are of someone who may be trying to come into the school. If you see someone who doesn't belong, please let somebody know. If they don't have the hall passes, the yellow hard pass we have, or if they don't have a visitor badge on them, it's better to say, hey, I don't know who that person is, than let somebody in the building walk through here that shouldn't be in here. So communicate with us so we can help keep each other safe. This past spring, Mr. Faust and I met with KPD, Knox County School Security, the fire department, emergency medical services, a whole slew of government agencies to have what's called a tabletop discussion, in which they say, okay, here's the situation. How do we handle this? Here's the situation. How do we handle this? Okay, now it's this. What are we going to do? So I tell you that to say we have thought through these things, and it's not me. I mean, I wasn't trained to think about how to handle these emergencies, but if there are folks around the county who are, and the city of Knoxville, and we're working to make sure we have a safe school setting for our students. We don't tell everybody what these plans are because frankly, the more folks who know about it, the more folks who know how to get around that plan. For example, kid new in Florida on a fire drill, I'll pull the alarm, everybody runs out in the building. So we don't necessarily want everybody to know all of our business. Talk. The biggest things for students to remember is we can't help if we don't know. If you hear anything, please tell a teacher, a counselor, a grade level principal, or myself know something as soon as possible. You see my email address there, rob.spees@knoxschools.org. There's my Twitter if you want to tweet me something. There's been a whole slew of things this past weekend since the Florida incident across Knox County schools. You saw there was a deal going around at Central that got brought to the attention of the authorities. They got investigated, and everything found out to be, not a credible threat. You guys saw the thing from Knox County going around with all the emojis on it that turned out to be from Knox County, Kentucky. Those young ladies are being charged with acts of terrorism. So when those things get communicated, they get investigated, and we can react to those things. What we don't know, we can't help you with. What you also need to know is, like I just said, those young ladies who made that threat or thought they were just being funny trying to get out of school, It's being dealt with very seriously in this day and age. Those young ladies are being charged with acts of domestic terrorism. Okay, Knox County Police will prosecute you if you're making idle threats. So that's not the thing to do. Okay, I talked with staff the other day about it. That when I was a kid, we make prank phone calls. We thought we were being funny. You know, if you think you're being funny by me saying you're going to cause harm to someone in the school setting, it's going to be dealt with very seriously. Don't make that mistake. And always remember, we try very hard to keep you safe. Okay, so we need you to help us keep each other safe. Biggest way we can do that is communicate what you know with us. And the kids who are making these acts and the adults who are making these acts, they are isolated and they are broken. Okay, they've been hurt by society and they typically want some type of revenge. The best way we can do that is to reach out and help people. Okay, I say we are our own best friend. We're also our own worst enemy. When people are hurting, if we reach out and help them, we're our best friend. When we hurt people with our words and our actions and our deeds and we make them feel isolated, we're our own worst enemy. Okay, society that we live in today has created these people with these emotions, and they, without the right treatment, that's how they've lashed out. We can reach out to each other, we can love on each other, and we can take care of each other. Okay, we are a Fulton family. We're Familia Fulton, and that is what we are about, loving on each other and taking care of each other. But we can only do this together. Please take these things seriously. I'd hate to see our school fall under one of these tragedies. We love you guys. We care for you guys. We want the very best for y'all. I hope we made that. I hope that's come across in this video that we're working hard to take care of each other. And again, please, if you know anything, if you have anything going on, talk to someone about that. If you feel broken, you feel isolated, you feel like you are alone in this world, there are people here for you. Reach out. Get with the counselor, get with the teacher. We will do our very best to take care of you. And if you see someone who is hurting, who is isolated, who is broken, reach out to them, show a little love. Appreciate you guys, and let's have a great Wednesday. Thank you.